Welcome to SorWil Solutions, where we talk about what's going on in our community. Today, our special guest is Nancy Bauder. She is a returning guest, our second returning guest. Before you were a city commissioner, and now you are Leavenworth City's mayor.
Yes, sir.
How does that feel?
Feels great. I'm happy to be mayor again.
Yeah. What do you like about being mayor the most?
Really, I get a lot of phone calls from the people in our community. And it keeps me very busy, but that I really enjoy doing a lot of that. I get some as commissioner, but it's a lot more as mayor. And trying to solve problems and having more direct contact with our other organizations is good. I like representing the city, and I'm proud of the city. And so those are some of the reasons.
Okay. It's definitely a different commission with the new commission. A lot of different voices and different people, and a lot of first timers on there. So there's a lot of mentoring, I'm sure, that you have to do.
A little bit, but they all are very intelligent, and everybody has their own, style and positive things that they bring to the commission. So it's a good mix because we all have different strengths in the commission. So I think we'll make a really good team this year.
I think you're right. The first commission meeting, though, with people getting sworn in and then an hour of discussion on core civic was made for a really long meeting. And I got to attend that. It was my first meeting, Baptism of Fire. It was certainly interesting. People are very passionate about core civic.
They are. And this wasn't really, I wasn't expected as much. Usually, we missed a meeting, and that a lot of stuff piled onto this meeting. And I know there were people that were planning on coming to the meeting before, but they couldn't because we didn't have a meeting. So normally when we have that turnover, installation of the mayor, the swearing in of the new commissioners, usually the business is pretty short and we keep it just to that. But this was, I think it was about an hour and a half that we had speakers speak about core civic. And, we listen to everybody. If, everybody has a little bit different point of view, but I want to hear what everybody's got to say. So I really was happy to see a full house, and I'm happy to see people come and speak. And I know we keep them to 3 minutes, but I think you can really get your point across in 3 minutes for the public and let somebody else speak then. And it's great. I think it's great.
I will say that I saw the meeting last year where somebody had asked for 5 minutes. You guys kind of debated that. At that time, I was for that. Now, sitting up there, I understand why you guys limited to 3 minutes, because a lot of it was repetitive because a lot of people have the same feelings, and there's only so many different ways to express that.
Exactly.
But it was great to see everybody out there. I will say that I've had some phone calls from people who do support the other side who felt uncomfortable coming to express their opinion.
Okay.
How, as commissioners, do we handle that? How can we make sure that everybody feels like their voice can be heard?
How do we handle that? I don't know that there's any way. I encourage people to come and speak, and I was surprised that there was nobody that spoke. And I don't think anybody should feel uncomfortable. I think we keep good order in the meetings, so I don't see any reason why anybody should feel uncomfortable about speaking. We didn't invite the people there that spoke. They just showed up. So, if other people want to speak, they are certainly welcome to do that.
But people that are concerned about confrontation,
they shouldn't be there.
I think we live in a world where people have very strong opinions, and they want to speak their mind. And I've had a number of conversations, and I've encouraged people to come, but they're just worried that things are going to get out of hand or get rowdy, or, my son was going to come up and see the commissioning, and when he found out that people were speaking there against core civic, he was scared to bring his kids there. He was concerned about it.
Oh, about something happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what I'm referring to. Is
we
have law enforcement there,
right? We've had this situation before. I've been on the commission over 10 years. We had that situation a lot during COVID.
Oh, really?
You had a lot of confrontation on both sides. And people want to express their opinion. They are welcome to come. I wouldn't want anybody not to come just because they're afraid of confrontation.
And when you talk about COVID and people were there, was got confrontational. Did it ever get out of hand?
A couple of times.
Really?
It did. We had to ask people to leave.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It seems like we live in a time where people have very strong opinions, and it's hard to get people to find that middle ground.
It is, and I think that's one thing that I see as changing over the last 10 years that I've been on there. Huge difference is social media and what has been out there, and the negative comments that people get, and then they get more angry and they don't even know the whole story. So we try to alleviate that by telling the whole story. We want to be as transparent as we possibly can. I know transparency is a big word, but
Sure.
we want to be as transparent as we can with everybody, so that people know why we make decisions that we make. And sometimes we don't always get that word out there, especially when you're a brand new commissioner. But you kind of learn that. But one big change that I saw this year that we haven't had before is the orientation of the new commissioners. And I hope you got something out of that. I got something out of it, and I've been here a long time, but I think that was a good thing to have a start to make you feel more comfortable.
Definitely very interesting. There were so many rules that I had no idea about, to be honest.
A lot of laws that we have to follow.
Yeah, and Scott did a great job of putting together an actual agenda, and it was followed from beginning to end. We got to see some of the city services, and so I thought it was super informative. Some of it probably should have been addressed before we even took office, because there's some blurred lines when it comes to social media.
But I guess we could have done that individually, but we couldn't have done that as a group before you took office, because you were not sworn in yet. But I don't know. That's something we could talk about next time. But I just thought it was a really good thing. When I started, of course, the League of Kansas Municipalities, and most of the commissioners at some point had gone to the League of Kansas Municipalities meetings.
Okay.
And learned a lot from a lot of different community leaders around the state. And that was a really good thing. But those meetings are offered several months after we take office. Yeah. So it's not very convenient. You're struggling through that first few months before you actually get.
You've been on the commission for 11 years now?
11 years, yeah.
How do you think you've evolved over that 11 years?
Well, how I've evolved. 2014, I was afraid of everything.
Okay.
I mean, I was at that time I was the first runner-up, so I was mayor pro tem when I started.
Okay.
So I had a lot of learning.
Who was the mayor that you were mayor pro tem to?
Larry Dedeke.
Okay. Okay.
And he was great. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him. I spent a lot of time with our finance director, and at that time Scott Miller was our city manager. Spent a lot of time with him too. But over the years, as I've gotten to know more people,
sure.
especially as I've gotten to know the staff at the city, that has helped. It helps a lot. I feel comfortable, asking questions and know who to go to for what, which
sure.
is a great thing. But as far as the community goes, I just see, I've seen the politics get so involved that it just makes it kind of ugly, especially during elections. We were attacked, even if we weren't running, we were attacked by certain individuals, and it was, at first it was very disheartening, but now I just kind of let it roll off as part of the business that they do, and don't pay too much attention to the negative stuff. But at first you want to go over there and correct everything that said was wrong, and I think people know now that what I say is the truth, and that I'm not as bad as what they're being told.
It seems like we live in a time where people just don't trust the government.
Yeah.
And there's so much misinformation out there that nobody really knows what to believe. And I think we live in a time where people just question everything. And so it's hard to say we're saying the truth and they're questioning that. And so I know for myself, I try to meet people in person, because I think eye to eye, people have a better opportunity to judge you and talk about you
Absolutely.
and talk with you.
Yeah.
I have drank more coffee, and I don't drink coffee, I think, than in this last year than I have in my whole life. I drink a lot of hot chocolate.
Yes.
Um, were you ever in office before you became, you were elected for the city commission?
I was a township trustee
Okay.
for the Easton Kickapoo Township
Okay.
and served in that capacity for a few years.
So the city commission was your first real opportunity to
Yes.
serve.
Yes. And what I liked about it is partisan. It is nonpartisan, and I really hope it stays that way. We're fixing potholes. We're doing, we're working with the people in the city. We're right there. It doesn't matter if we're Democrat. And look at the makeup of our commission. We've got Democrat, Republican, and Kansas United people on our commission, and I think that is a good, well-rounded group that works together as a team. And so we need to keep that nonpartisanship, and I would be fighting against anybody who would try to make it partisan.
Over the last year, what do you think are some of the significant things that you're proud of that were completed by the city?
Oh gosh, the 4th Street project is huge. That
Mhm.
was we were waiting for. Most of these projects take several years. That's one thing that people don't realize,
Mhm.
and I think that's one of your questions too.
Mhm.
Most people don't realize is that it takes several years and several public meetings before we get to a project. And with that one, it took about 5 or 6 years before. I mean, it took several years before we could even get. We knew that we were going to get the grants for that. And then having that completed was a major milestone, I think, for this past year. But
What do you say to new commissioners that think they're going to come in and change the world?
it takes more than overnight. You probably won't happen during your first year. It may not even happen during the next 4 years. So I say go for it. Try it. Try to get something started, because it does take a while, especially anything that costs a lot of money, that we need to look at other sources of funding for to try to support. Grant funding, if we can get it, or other types of funding, or in-kind donations and things like that. It takes a while to do anything. Just like the bus service took 8 years.
Wow.
Even getting some of the the parks things that we do. And people talk about parks like, well, that's our tax money is going to our parks are a major part of our community, and people use them all the time. But it took a long time to get the pickleball courts done. It took about 3 or 4 years to do that. And even some less expensive projects like a bathroom at Havens Park. It took several years just to get the other one torn down. But it's not just the bathroom. I mean, you've got to build the street that goes up to it. You've got to build the parking lot. You've got to have lighting. You've got to do all of this other stuff. So we apply for grants and things to help out with that kind of thing. And it takes a long time to get those grants. And then if you fail the first time or forget to put something in there, then you got to apply again. So everything takes a while to do, but it's worthwhile. And that's one reason why I'm glad to be on the commission for as long as I have, so I could see some of these come to fruition.
If you look back over your last 11 years, not just this past year, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment over the last 11 years?
I think the bus services, definitely. I think I said that last time too, but
I think you did.
It's all right.
But I want to remind people, because I don't think there's a number of people who don't know about the bus service. There's a number of people who, and I think last time you had talked about using the bus service personally because you'd had a foot injury, I think.
Yeah, I did.
So as people look at the bus service, it runs through the guidance center. You just talk a little bit about that, and people who may not know about it, how they can access it.
The majority of people use it to go to and from work, which is great. That's one reason, and that was shown in the greater Kansas City with the bus services there, was that the main use is for people to go to and from work. But it also helps people get to the grocery store, get to doctor's appointments and other things too. And just, if your car's broke down, you just use it, for a week. You don't have to worry about it. What I would like to see, though, and what we originally planned in that, was that this would be an all-encompassing county-wide project and that it would extend down to the Legends.
Oh, wow.
Or down to Kansas City, Kansas, somewhere in Kansas City, Kansas. Especially to the hospitals down there and to the shopping areas and stuff. And just be able to link in with there to that system for the rest of Kansas City, because once you link in there, you can move on to Johnson County or wherever you want to go in the area, all through a bus system. And so, especially with some things coming up like the great, Chiefs Stadium at the Legends and all that, I think we will really need a bus service even more. And the new airport kind of spurred things along with the bridge on the Missouri side. And that was because we know that the Fort is the biggest user of the airport. And so they, having that, it would be good to have transportation going between here and the airport as well. But that's a future thing. That's something where would look forward to. But with all the new development in our area and in Kansas City area, I think we're gonna see an increase in that transportation.
So you kind of opened this can of worms. I wasn't going to really address it because it's fairly new. But talking about the stadiums, how do you see that impacting Leavenworth County?
Was so close. I mean, Legends is 20 minutes from here, so I think it's going to be huge, and I think we're going to see a lot more people wanting to stay here. And so I think we'll probably need more hotel space.
I agree with that. I think that we're far enough away from the Legends that it's a good place to stay. We're going to have, in the next 5 years with the new development going in, we'll have some more places to stay, more places to eat. But we're far enough away from the chaos that somebody come stay here, get involved in our community, and then go to a game at the new stadium.
Yeah, I think that's true. And it's not going to only affect us, it'll affect Lansing and all the way between here and there as well. So it's an exciting prospect. I'm really excited about that. So for our future.
Yeah, it's a big win for the state of Kansas for sure.
Yeah.
How would you describe the state of Leavenworth right now?
In transition. I think we really are in transition. I think we've been kind of at a stalemate for a long time. It's been difficult to recruit businesses in here. It's been difficult to do, other things that we want to do. Anyway, I think that I think we're in flux a little bit.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot of positive things coming, and we've got prospects looking at the old plaza, which people have talked about. Oh, we need the good old days of the plaza. We need to bring back the plaza. Well, something similar but different. And then Abel's Field, and I just think that's a real win for our future. But it's something that we have to start working toward quickly and get going on it, because any kind of development, if it goes through, if the STAR bonds go through, which is a great thing, I have to credit Senator Klemp on really pushing to get places like Leavenworth included in those STAR bonds.
Yeah,
that's been a great thing. Then we need to, once we get going with that, if we get that approved and everything, then I think sky's the limit. I think we're ready to start really doing some major things here. And our focus too, we got a goal setting session coming up in March. Okay. But our I think one of our goals that we've talked about, that I've talked about a lot, is revitalizing downtown. We need to look at some of the rules and the cost of fire suppression and things like that, and how we can address that, because that is so expensive.
Sure.
And a lot of businesses struggle with that. And then some of the buildings that have just been left to sit and rot, we've got to get in there and do inspections. We've got to make sure that they are up to snuff so they can be rented. Because right now, some of them couldn't possibly be rented without spending a lot of money to fix them up. So I think that is what we're going to see in the next year, in the coming year. But that's what, through my term, the rest of my term, 2-year term, but from now, 2 years from now, I want to definitely focus on downtown and getting those buildings back to where they can be rented and filled.
Was there ever any discussion or thought about adding the downtown into the Star Bonds?
We're working on the RHID for downtown
Mhm.
for upper story development, but because of the rules of the Star Bonds, I don't think it would apply. I mean, we need to have a large enough area where we have an attraction, and so we haven't really focused on that,
Okay.
but one thing at a time.
Sure. Sure. Um, as a new mayor, what are some of the things that are taking up most of your time right
Answering phone calls and
now?
emails and meetings with people. Um, some uh, people have called with some great ideas,
Mhm.
of things we can do. Since there's a new mayor, they're bringing it up to me,
Okay.
and so that's really what's taking up a lot of the time. The citizens' calls, I enjoy that. So if I'm not there, I'll return it. But you gotta leave your name and your phone number because the phone that I use for my city phone does not take text. You've got to call and leave a number, and I will call you back if I'm not there. But 9 times out of 10, I pick up the phone. I'm right there. So
Okay. You is Do you have another full-time job, or are you completely retired?
I'm not completely retired. This has been a busy season for me because I'm
Mhm.
an artist.
Sure.
And I teach a lot of classes. So
Okay.
I've had several classes this fall, and to get ready for Christmas and the holiday season. And um, I teach. Sometimes I teach kids whose parents homeschool them,
Okay.
and I I am pretty busy. I guess I am probably part time,
Okay.
not
Do
completely
you
full
think
time.
somebody that's working a full-time job, I mean, are they able to juggle that and the mayorship?
I think so. I think you will.
Well, I will tell you, there's been a couple of days where the job, unfortunately, I have a great team behind me that have had to pick up the slack because I've been in meetings with people that were not business related.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I have a really strong team and they're able to pick up the slack, but not everybody has that opportunity.
Well, yeah, and if your schedule's a little bit flexible, like mine is, my schedule is
Mhm.
very flexible, so I can change things around. But and I serve on several committees too in the community as well. But um, no, well, there have been mayors all the way through that have had full time jobs. So
Okay.
they manage to make it work. They can't always make everything, but like a lot of times, Griff Martin and Jermaine Wilson were out of town, but that's why you have a mayor pro tem. So someone can come in and
Run that meeting.
run the meeting for you, or meet with the person, or go to the event to represent the city in that. So, yeah, I Holly Pittman is a hard act to follow because she
is.
was literally everywhere, and unfortunately, I can't be everywhere all the time. But um, I can't quite follow that. But yeah, she was really out there, and I really appreciate her for that.
And she's very strong on social media.
Yeah. And she's still going to be out there. And I think that's important too. Even though I'm mayor, we all have the same power in the city with regard to the city. And I would, encourage, uh, other city commissioners to participate in some things that I don't need to be at everything.
Hmm.
It's good for me to represent, especially in certain instances, but I don't really need to be at everything. So
What do you think residents should understand about the relationship between the city commissioners and just local residents? I mean, is it appropriate for them to reach out directly to you, or should they be reaching out to the city? I know I've spoken and I've worked with a lot of city managers who get a little flustered or frustrated that they're hearing things and people don't reach out to them directly. They feel like they're being circumvented. Do you think Scott has that issue, or?
well, I think people are maybe not understand the difference between the mayor and the city manager. In our instance, the city manager basically runs the staff and the city activities as a whole. So Scott really is the one that you would call for issues regarding, well, Scott or the staff, city staff,
Mm-hmm.
and he can direct that to the city staff, or issues related to our city departments, which, our parks department or our public works or whatever. Then, that's true. But you can also call me, and I will send you there, or I will talk to them and have them contact you, which is a lot of what I do. People will contact me, and rather than say, "Oh, you called me, now call somebody else," I don't want to do that.
Sure.
People don't like that. So if they call me, then I'll say, I'll say I'm going to talk to Scott and Brian or whoever. They'll get back with you, and they do. And I think that's the proper way to do it. I don't want anybody to try too hard. And I mean, I've had this happen to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call in and ask for help on something and say, well, we don't do that. I want to know, well, what do I do then?
Yes.
So, explain to me, what do I do? So I try to do that as mayor. Explain if you've got a raccoon that's running around during the day and you need it caught, this is what you do. And so I looked it up. I know what to do. So I let them know this is what you do, because I know they were short staffed over at animal control, and just, what you do is go over and get a trap and set it. And they'll tell you what to put in the trap, and then you can bring it back and they will take care of the animal. And if the animal's healthy, they'll let it go somewhere. If it's not healthy, then they'll have to put it down. So that's what you do. But you don't call me and then I say, oh, I don't know how to do that. You need to call somebody else. I want to tell them right away, this is what you do. And
we've talked to a number of the city staff going through this, the orientation process. Have you ever had somebody call you and just go nuts about getting a parking ticket or a speeding ticket and wanting you to resolve that? How do you handle that?
Follow the laws. You just got to follow the laws. Constantly, you're always thinking of, you may know this person, which I seem to know everybody, but you may know this person.
Everybody I talk to knows Nancy Bauder. So
you may have friends, but no, the law is the law. And you got to think about, it's hard to do. You've got to think about how many people you're affecting. And you let one person do this, and then, then it goes on. You got to think about the most people you affect when you make any decision.
Sure.
And something I think too that people don't realize about the city, I had somebody ask one day, why do you make decisions so fast? Because they see us at a commission meeting and we make decisions very fast. They don't realize that this issue has probably been studied, in most cases, has been studied for 4 or 5 months. It's gone to a study session where we've discussed it at length. And then the people and sometimes even we've had public meetings where people can come. And so by the time we get ready for that final vote, it's gone through consensus one, and gone through 3 systems before we get to the final vote.
That kind of makes me wonder, what has been the most difficult thing you've had to vote on? The one that really perplexed you and you went back and forth on, maybe you didn't even know how you were going to vote when the time came.
I've got a lot of negative comments on this, but it was during COVID again too. That was the hardest time, was making a decision on whether to have a mask mandate.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect that.
And that was tough. I knew everybody around us had a mask mandate except Baser. And I knew that, well, I was watching as a former med tech, a medical person, I knew that the deaths were going up daily. And there were like 12% increases week over week and more in this. And it really shot up. And as soon as the mask mandate passed, all of a sudden it just dropped off. We saw it in action. And, I think some people who didn't want to wear masks, then they would stay away from the stores. The stores actually asked us to do that.
Oh, really? Because
they didn't want their employees exposed to people who were not wearing a mask. And so we, it was difficult, but yeah, I wanted to make that decision, and then the rest of the commission voted for it too.
What was that vote
It
like?
was unanimous.
Wow. How long was Leavenworth locked down during that time period?
I believe it was unanimous. I'm
Sure.
trying to remember which commission was there then. It was only locked down for about a month.
Wow.
When it started going down, and then the vaccine came out. This was all before vaccine.
Sure.
And then the vaccine came out, and we opened it back up again. And that was driven by the businesses too. They called and said, "We think we're good," and we kept close touch with them. That was an interesting time because we didn't know. I mean, we rely so much on sales tax, and stores close, everything drops off, everything is it just was really hard. We didn't know what to expect when it came to funding, and we were fortunate to be able to get national federal COVID money to help us out, but we didn't know that at the time. So handling the budget was a difficult thing.
Wow.
And decisions on that budget were very difficult that year. But that's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And I think before me, Mike Griswold and Mark Preisinger went through that too. And of the three of us were right in the middle of that COVID time. So
we lived in Jersey at the time, that 5-year window that we were actually gone. We were locked down for 9 months. So when I hear the stories from Leavenworth, I'm like, you guys had no idea, because the streets in Jersey were empty.
Yeah.
Streets that were normally
packed.
Crazy. It took 3 hours to get 30 minutes on most Fridays, for home. I worked 30 minutes away. It took me 3 hours to get home. But you could get anywhere quick at that time because there was just nobody out. Everybody was staying home, and it's crazy. And so I look at that and how bad it was there, and I think, gosh, you guys had no idea.
Yeah.
And so it's all perspective.
Yeah. But the very first thing we did was we had to close the St. Patrick's Day parade. We were told like a week before, and we had the T-shirts, we had we had everything going, and we had the route set, and all these people were coming in, and and then it was like, well, everybody around us is closed. They're all going to come here to see the parade if we have the parade, and we were told and I was on the committee. That's why I said we were told we had to cancel the parade, and so we did.
When you talk to residents and you tell them, what do you tell them about how hard some of these decisions are? Because at some point you're going to upset somebody. I mean, we can't possibly make everybody happy, no matter what the decision is.
Yeah.
And so when you try to explain that to somebody, how does that conversation usually go?
That I try to. We all try to decide on what is best for the most people in the community. So how will this affect us if we do this? How will it affect us if it turns around the other way? Or how will this affect us? How many people is it going to affect? Is it going to affect just a few people in our community, or is it going to affect a large swath of our community? And so that's how I base my decisions on.
There's
and
a lot of
input, and we all take a lot of input, and sometimes we see things that we didn't think of, and that's great. That's great to see things we didn't think of, and then be able to turn things around.
I have seen, especially with this commission, they are willing to listen and talk to anybody, whether they agree with them or not. There are some legislatures that will not talk with you if you don't completely agree with them.
That's true. That's true.
And I think it's unfortunate because I think everything you can't have the answer for everything. And so hearing that alternate view challenging you, so that you either reaffirm your decision or maybe you start to understand where they're coming from, is super important. So it disappoints me when I hear those stories. And a lot of people have come to me and they're like, we just really appreciate you listening to us. We know you're listening to both sides. And I think that's the biggest compliment that we can get as public officials. And so the decision that we made on the first night regarding the contract, I took a lot of heat for that. And it was a hard decision for me, from the aspect of there was a lot of things to consider. And so I tell everybody it was a baptism of fire because you just went into that and you didn't really have a whole lot of time to think about it.
I wish I'd known about it ahead of time that was going to be an issue, but it turned out to, in the end, I think, the contractors understand it now too. How we have to do business. We have to think about the taxpayers and that too.
And you mentioned that to me in the meeting, very directly, and so I appreciate that. Um, but it still doesn't make it easy. I understand
No,
disappointing people. I've been on the end of the conversation where you don't get the contract because you weren't the lowest, or they took other things into consideration. So I definitely understand that. And I did talk to some of the local companies afterwards and tried to explain it. But really, that conversation either way, you're gonna upset somebody. Either you're giving the contract to your friends, or you're not, or you're saving the taxpayer money. And so one group is going to be upset.
yeah.
When it comes to shopping local, there's that 1% um, number that Scott gave out in that meeting. What are your thoughts there, and how can we encourage or find better ways to work with local companies for things?
Oh, well, maybe explain to them how our contracting works. I
Hmm.
mean, that's a big thing. I mean, we've got a maximum budget that we can't go over, and if everybody bids on the contract and they go over, then we have to cancel it and start over again. And we have certain rules that we have to follow. So maybe, I mean, we've got a business symposium. I think that
Hmm.
would be a good place to bring that up and talk about how we do contracting and how we have to do that. We absolutely support our local businesses, and I think they know that. We have to. We rely so much on. I think that's another thing the general public doesn't realize when they look at property taxes. They look at county taxes, city taxes, and school taxes, and property taxes make up only 19% of our budget. The rest is in sales tax. So we're very reliant on those sales taxes. And that's why we focus so much on economic development, so we can have retail and other things that will help us um, keep the sales taxes up. Because I mean, 19% is pretty low, and it's only about 20 mills. And
Hmm.
whereas the school district and the county both are at 40, 35 or 40 mills. So, and that's what we used to be at.
Really? So kind of explain that. I wasn't aware of that.
Well, we were at 40, I think 45 mills, and we built 4 new hotels. And by having all those extra people in here, basically out of town paying our sales tax for us, we were able to lower it. So it was before I came on. It was right before I came on. So about 2012, I think
Hmm.
it was. They lowered. Mark Preisinger I think he was mayor then. He requested they lower the mill levy from 35 down to 20.
Interesting. So
And it's been there ever since. It's been like at that 20%.
our formula then is different than a lot of cities
Main formula.
for revenue. Are all cities in Kansas reliant on sales tax
Oh,
or
no, we're
property
all
tax?
different. I mean, we're all different. It depends on how much you have. I mean, before, when it was the higher percentage of property taxes, we were relying on property taxes. And so we didn't have the sales tax. We didn't have as much sales tax. But once we started getting more sales tax, then we could lower that property tax.
Interesting.
So we
I thought the
are.
formula was pretty much the same for all cities, but it's
No, because
not.
not all cities have a lot of sales. And the county just uses property tax. So they're kind of stuck with that. But they different ones have a lot of sales, like Johnson County,
Mhm.
and a lot of business. So the businesses pay a lot of those taxes and less individual property taxes.
I'm sure you've been on commissions where maybe everybody didn't agree all the time.
Right.
How does how do you manage those instances and come to an agreement that's best for the city?
Oh, sometimes you don't. You don't manage those disagreements. You kind of have to go back to the board. But I feel like as a mayor or even as a commissioner, I'm a consensus builder, and I
Mhm.
need to build that consensus, because without the rest of the commission voting a certain way or whatever, then we're not going to voting together.
Mhm.
on an issue, then we're not going to agree. But I felt like, well, there's a couple of commissioners that I met with, that individually, of course,
Mhm.
under COMA laws, we can't meet as a group, but
Sure.
individually, I've met with them, and we've sat down and discussed and decided, well, we can't agree. We can't agree. We have to disagree on some things, and that's fine. We vote the way we vote, and however it falls out, it falls out. But we always try. We're not going to agree on everything. We never do. Even the best of, the most best of friends or the most compliant, of the commissioners that get along, you still don't agree on everything. And we've had some pretty good shout outs with with commissioners that we knew really well, and you couldn't get them to our way of thinking, and you just but I think at the end of the day, we shake hands, we come in. I mean, every day we come in and we talk. I ask commissioners, they ask me about my family, ask them about their family. I mean, it doesn't matter. And these are ones that are more politically you know, not where I was, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. We got along at the end of the day. So
That's great.
and we kept that going, and that was good. And sometimes I would change and go to their way too. It wasn't just one sided, but
Have you been on a commission that was very polarized, partisan wise?
well, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to go into that too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate when that happens, but it does. It just does. People vote, with their hearts, and they vote for people who don't necessarily agree with each other, and that's fine. Having diversity is great. I like diversity, and I like having different opinions. So sometimes you learn from that, and then you realize, oh, I made a mistake. I should have voted that way. You learn from that. So
As you look towards 2026, what is your top 3 priorities?
downtown, like I
Mhm.
said,
Okay.
the star bonds, hopefully getting those through. The third one is just when we do our goal setting, building some real good, solid programs for the future that we can work on. I'm looking forward to the goal setting session because we have something always come out of it. And one thing I really want to do this year, and I think Rebecca Hollister is going to head this up. If we can, after we talk to everybody and see if we can do it, I'd like to get the youth more involved in city government.
Okay.
And at one time, we had a youth advisory board, and I'd like to see that get it started. I don't know if we can or not. It all depends because we would have to talk to the city manager, would have to talk to the school, Leavenworth High School, and we'd have to try to work something out. But I think it's a good program. I mean, to do that. Even my 13-year-old grandson was telling me about a same type of program that he has in his school right now, and they actually have a week of government. But when I was growing up, we had a government day where everybody could apply and to try to be on there, to be
Mhm.
a certain person in the city, a department head or a commissioner or whatever. And I think it's a great program, a great way to learn and enhance, what kids learn in their government classes and whatever they call them now. They call them government, I guess.
Social studies classes.
Social studies, yeah. Yep.
Have you read anything, and this is kind of off topic here, but staying away from any topics that are kind of controversial, but this nuclear discussion that the county has raised and are getting more information on it, and Commissioner Steben is completely against this.
I
Have you
have
read anything on that at all?
I have not. I have not caught up. This came up so suddenly
Mhm.
to me. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't. No, I have not read about it. I need to study it more.
It definitely could be impactful to us depending where
Where it
if it
is.
were to happen in Leavenworth County, how close it is to the cities. There's a lot of concern around nuclear waste and how that would be disposed of. So there's a lot of information out
Yeah.
there, a lot of things we don't know, but it could be a huge boost to the cities in
Could be.
our county because we are in need of more power because any of these data centers that come in are going to require more power. There are a number of new facilities that are going to require more power.
We are going to need more power, and we do know that directly. I mean, definitely, we know that we need more power. They need more power down DeSoto right now for the Panasonic plant, and I mean DeSoto really close to the county line there. But when I first was hearing about this, you kind of think about, well, it's out in western Kansas. We don't need to worry about it, but it would be interesting to learn more, and so I don't really have any comment on it yet.
Okay. The final question for this segment. As you look out 5 years, what would you like to see in Leavenworth and how it has grown?
I'd like to see more affordable housing,
Mhm.
definitely. Like to see people be able to work here and live here and not have to live somewhere else. I'd like to see and more jobs here, of course. And I would like to see the old Leavenworth Plaza developed. It's just been an eyesore for so long, and that whole block would be great to have it developed. And so maybe in 5 years we can get to there. It could take that long. It could take a while. I would like to see the homeless problem disappear.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how that possibly could be, but I think there are some really great programs with the attainable housing and getting people who are working into a house, because there are people out here that have children that are working full time and not able to afford rent. And that's really sad. That's really sad. And that's a difficult problem. So I hope that some of these other things that we want to have in here would also help that too. So we don't have a generation of people who are living on the streets.
Somebody reached out to me the other day, and of course, I'm not going to say any names, but they had a solution for the homeless problem. They said if we get rid of the homeless shelter, the homeless problem will go away.
No.
And I'm like, that's not the right answer, because there's still people that are homeless, and they just have to find somewhere else to go. And we have such extremities with the weather here that it really gives them an opportunity to stay cooler or warm, depending on the time of year. And it's a difficult conversation to have when somebody takes a position like that.
Well, I think the homeless situation has somewhat stabilized. And so we still have our homeless. We still have people who still want to live on the streets. That's an issue. In the past, we've had a much more robust state mental health hospital, and Sister Vicki Perkins, who is a former director of the homeless shelter, told me at one time that she thought that probably 70% of people who are homeless that are just out on the streets are, and I'm not talking about home insecure, but homeless, are have some mental issues that they need dealt with. And at one time, we had social service offices in every county. And the one we had here was fully staffed with social workers. And they help keep people from being homeless by directing them to the right resources, helping them get jobs, helping them get off drugs and things like that. And we don't have that anymore. So other programs are picking up the slack. But no, if you think you build a homeless shelter and they will come, that is not correct. They are here. And they will tell you that it's not the people from out of the city or out of the state. They're not bringing them in here over the bridge and what other things I've heard, shipping them in here and getting rid of their homeless people. And they're checked out, and all, the people that are here are here. They're here. They're not coming from elsewhere. So, that's old wives' tale. Anyway.
So before we switch to our second segment, I just want to shout out CASA. I'm trying to show some of the nonprofits that we support. Really enjoyed the superhero run. I got to just dress as Superman for it, so always love that. But Casa does a lot of work for child advocacy, and Kelly Meyer, their executive director, does a great job over there. And
It's amazing.
So just a shout out to them. If you're looking for a nonprofit to support, they can always use a little bit of help.
Absolutely. Wonderful organization.
So now we're going to get into a little more about Nancy Bauder.
Oh, no.
And we're going to go with our rapid fire question round. So question number 1, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Black or with something in it?
Green.
Okay. Breakfast at home or out to eat?
Breakfast at home.
Okay. Favorite local place to eat? This one puts everybody on the spot because they don't want to answer, but...
Oh, gosh, I got 2 or 3 of them. I love the red hibiscus for breakfast.
Okay.
For their breakfast bowls. I love karma cakes for lunch.
Okay.
And I really love the new Thai place, Sila's over on 5th and Spruce.
Okay. I haven't tried that yet. I'll have to try that.
It's Thai food. It's delicious.
Okay. Would you rather get a call or send a text?
Send a text.
Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a morning person.
You prefer sweet food or salty food?
Salty.
Okay. Wow. Would you rather go on vacation to the beach or to the mountains?
The beach. Although I shouldn't say that. My kids live in the mountains.
What's the last book or movie you watched or read?
Oh, gosh. I just got through reading. I can't think of the name of the book now. It's a book about women in the Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks, you see so much history about the Middle Ages, but it's all men. So this is, somebody dug up a lot of information and some books and some other things. And what I like about that book is that, I always think about we think about our ancestors. What were our ancestors like back then? They were just like us. The women in the Middle Ages you think about them being dirty and living in slovenly lives or else being queens, and they weren't. They ran businesses. Mm-hmm. They worked their daily lives. There were sisters. There were single women. There were young women. There were nannies. There were all kinds of different things. But I thought it was interesting because they run their own lives, and it's all about their lives. And if I thought of the book, I would tell you. But anyway, it was excellent, and it made me realize that we're not so different than they were back then. They were clean. They had dentists. They took care of their teeth. They didn't all have wooden teeth. They actually flossed. They actually, it was very personal. It's very personal, and it made me feel like we're doing good. We're doing good. We have that in our history.
Best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Shut up and listen.
One word to describe Leavenworth.
Amazing.
Okay. Special or little known place in Leavenworth that you like to go that you'd like more people to know about?
Think of all kinds of places after I leave here, I'm sure.
This is all about putting you on the spot. I guess you could call it the best kept secret.
The best kept secret. They're not really a secret.
All right, we'll let you think about it.
Okay, I'll come back to it.
What is your biggest leadership strength? Listening or deciding?
Oh, listening.
Good. Most used app on your phone?
Probably Instagram.
One thing people would be surprised to know about you.
I'm a pilot.
I did not know that. Wow. Small planes?
Yes, only small planes. Yeah.
When was the last time you flew?
Oh gosh, a few years ago.
Really?
I can't because of my heart problems and all that. I can't really fly anymore, but I miss it. I love it. I had my own plane. I flew for a long time.
What is one thing that makes you the most proud of our community?
I heard somebody say this the other day too, and I thought it's really true. They like, well, it's my grandson, my other grandson said that. He was helping me study this morning,
Mhm.
and he said the community spirit. He said he everybody knows everybody, and
Mhm.
when you go somewhere, you talk to people, and it feels like a community. I
I
thought
will say
that was great for a 13-year-old.
I will say when I left, I thought I would enjoy the anonymity, but I missed running into people at the stores that I knew or I went to school with, and it is a great community. I think everybody has the community's best interest at heart, even though sometimes we question that. Everybody has their view of what's best for our community, and they just want to see us all thrive.
Yeah.
So, before we close, what's one thing you want people to remember from our conversation?
That as commissioners, we work hard. We do work hard, and we are all of us dedicated to the community.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank
It's been
you.
a great, as always, I enjoy talking with you. You're very honest in your answers. And I think that people can see your heart when they talk with you. And I think that's going to make you a strong leader as mayor. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you step up to lead. And it's an exciting time to be leading Leavenworth.
It is. It is. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So that's our show for this week. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing it to you. This is Nancy Bauder, Mayor of Leavenworth, and that was our show for this week. See you next time.